Friend, can you believe it? This is episode 100, 100. I just, I just want to sit in that for just 1 second. 100 episodes. That is 100 times I've sat down behind this microphone, usually in clothes that are not worthy of video. It's okay. Usually with a lukewarm cup of coffee or a half drunk bottle of kombucha, but 100 times of showing up with my whole heart for you. Cue the confetti, friends. Crank up the worship music, do a little happy dance because this moment, it is not just about me. You guys, it's not just about me. It's about the obedience of doing something that I felt called to do and procrastinated on for years. Years. I knew that the Lord was calling me to this podcast, and I didn't do it, and I didn't do it, and I didn't do it until I did. It's about showing up scared. It's about doing it messy. If you go back to episode 1, holy cow, whoo, I have made a lot of progress in 100 episodes. And it's about what happens when you say yes to a nudge that God puts on your heart, and then you keep saying yes over and over and over and over again, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's not perfect. So, friends, here is to episode 100. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Truth time. When's the last time you raised your hands for a swift kick in the pants? Well, I'm the no-nonsense type friend who's going to tell you when you have food in your teeth. So let's get right to it. This is your infusion of sacred and secular, calling you higher into who God created you to be, exploring how intimately faith applies to every part of your life, and how you can live that faith every single day in the marketplace. I felt the tension of separation of church and state. I've been one of the few women at a table of men for decades, and I've stood my ground. Are you ready to do the same? These tools, resources, and interviews are meant to do just that. I'm Jan Touchberry, and it's time to share her faith at work. Friends, welcome to the podcast. Whether you have been here since episode 1, I see you. Or if you just found this podcast today, welcome. I am so glad that you are here. If this is your first episode with us, you are right on time. And today we are going to talk about something that I wish somebody had told me 100 episodes ago. We're going to talk about starting your own podcast and why this might just be the time that the Lord is asking you to do it. So if you have had that little whisper in your spirit, start a podcast. You should start a podcast. Or if you're like me, you're not only hearing it from the Lord, but you've got friends around you going, hey, that would make a really good podcast episode. I cannot count the times that I heard that. And I had this notebook that I would fill from the back. Like, I don't know why I started from the back. I just did because I was writing other things in the front. And anytime somebody would say that, or it would pop into my head, that would make a good podcast, I would write that little subject line or title or whatever it was in the back of this notebook. And I have tons of them written down, and I never pulled the trigger. Never pulled the trigger. So if you're like me and you know that you're supposed to start a podcast, but you've been pushing it off because maybe it's too techy, or you feel like it's going to be too time consuming, or it's too scary, or it's just, I don't know, too much. This is for you. So I want to start here because I know what some of you guys are thinking. Isn't podcasting kind of saturated? No. Actually, podcasting is quite the young platform, comparatively speaking. And I want to lovingly call that kind of thinking what it is. It is a lie. It's fear in disguise because, yes, podcasting has been around for a while, but the traction that it is seeing right now is amazing. Amazing. And I think some people would say that it's trending, but friend, it is a powerful tool and it is evolving. It's evolving quick. In 2026, we are going to see the rise in what many would term micro niche podcasts. And that means that people aren't looking for the most famous host with a million downloads. They're looking for relatable, real, and relevant voices just like yours. People want to plug their earbuds in while they're folding laundry or while they're driving or while they're sitting in the pickup line, and they want to hear from somebody who gets them, who sees them. They want to hear from somebody who's walking the exact same faith journey that they are walking, somebody who can speak directly to the season that they're in life, to whatever it is that they're going through. It's a little bit of fun facts, okay? The average listener subscribes to about 7 shows. That's not a lot. But if yours is one of those, you're in their inner circle. They are choosing to tap on your podcast episode and listen for 10 to 30 minutes. That is intimate, it's powerful, and they're inviting you in. So, no, it is not too late. It is right on time because the need for truth, the need for encouragement, the need for purpose driven content has never been greater. It's never been greater. So, I want to go a little bit deeper because podcasting really isn't just a strategy, right? Although it is a strategy, it is what I would consider stewardship of your message. I believe that everybody in business today, okay? Which, if you're listening, you're probably in business. I believe that everybody in business today needs one form of long form content. Okay, if you guys listened for a while, this is going to sound like maybe a broken record. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Long form content. What is that? It is a podcast. It is YouTube videos. It is blogging. Okay, not the short form content, which would be your reels, your stories, your YouTube shorts. Everybody needs a long form content, one form of long form content. I personally have two. But I start with my podcast. My podcast is at the top of the funnel, okay? And long form content, that is going to steward your message. It is a vehicle. All right? It's a vehicle. When I started this podcast, I thought it would just maybe kind of be a side project, something fun, something small. Okay, podcasts are not small. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna blow smoke. But God had he had bigger plans. This podcast has opened doors for me that I would not have imagined. It's become a space where faith and business intersect, where God shows up in direct messages of women who say, that episode is exactly what I needed. It is it's just been such a blessing for me in ways that I could not have even imagined when I started this thing 2 years ago. It's turned into such a staple in my business. You guys, I even manage podcasts now. I could not. Like, if you had asked me 2 years ago when I started this thing, if I would be managing other people's podcasts as well as my own, no. But God knew. He knew. He knew that I needed to learn how to do my own because He was going to sovereignly hand me a podcast business. That's a story for another day. But it happened. He had bigger plans. So I'm going to ask you a question. What if your obedience to hit record on a podcast is the very thing that God wants to use to stir faith in somebody else? What if it's what He wants to use to help them grow their business, to help them reach other people, to help them minister to someone? You don't have to be an expert. You just have to be available and a few steps ahead of whoever you're leading. And God is going to do the rest, right? You need to say, here I am, Lord, use me. He's not interested in perfection. He's asking for your yes. And listen, I know that the enemy would love to convince you that your voice does not matter, that somebody else is already doing it, that somebody else is going to say it better, that it's too late, that it's too loud, that it's too confusing out there. Nope, 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 nope. God does not measure fruitfulness by algorithms. He just doesn't. So if He gave you the idea, He has already made a way. He's already made a way. Okay, deep breath. I feel like that was Jan Pep Talk. Woohoo! Episode 100 Pep Talk. Here we go. Now, episode 100 strategy, because I'm all about the strategy. While I am all about the spirit and the spirit moving, I'm also going to give you some systems, some real practical tools that you may want to take into consideration when you are thinking about starting a podcast. Because podcasting in 2026, you guys, is a gold mine. It's for building trust, it's for nurturing leads, it's for growing your business organically. You may have heard that there is a trust recession. I feel like that's kind of become a buzz phrase that's been thrown around for like the last 6, 8 months. Probably started at the beginning of 2025, that there's a trust recession, that people don't know who to trust anymore. But I'm telling you, if you are committing to showing up on your podcast and adding value and not asking anything in return week in, week out, that builds trust. It's going to nurture your leads. It's going to grow your business. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to give you 4 solid reasons why starting right now is a boss move. Okay. Number one, podcasting builds trust like nothing else. Your voice in their ears builds intimacy. It creates relationship. People hear your tone. People hear your heart. People hear your realness. And it makes them want to buy from you. It makes them want to learn from you. It makes them want to share your work with other people. Hello, referrals. All right, number two, it is the easiest, bar none, way to repurpose content, in my personal opinion. One episode, one podcast episode can be turned into a blog post, an email newsletter, social posts, a YouTube short, quote graphics. Boom, done. There's a week's plus worth of content from just one recording. You can probably stretch that out into a couple weeks. There's one lady that I follow, you guys. She has a top 0.5% podcast. 0.5%. That's huge. I'm a top 10% podcast, which I feel like is quite the accomplishment, actually. But she's a 0.5% podcaster, and she records 12 episodes a year, one per month. She drops the first Monday of every month. And my guess is that that one episode gets her content for her newsletters, for her social, for all the things for the entire month. I don't know about you, but that sounds like smart work to me. All right, next. Podcasting supports your SEO. Now, I I've mentioned in a past episode that podcast SEO and Google SEO are not equal. They're not the same. But podcasting can support you being found on Google. Let me explain. Podcasts are not currently indexed on Google. So if somebody is typing coaches for Christian business women in, I don't know, network marketing. I don't know, just pulled something out the hat. Um, and you have a podcast on that, it's not going to show up in the Google search. Okay. They would have to search that inside a podcast platform for you to come up. But if your podcast, if the RSS feed is shared to YouTube, which I highly recommend, it's literally pasting a link. Why would you not do that? Now your podcast is indexed on Google. If you take your show notes and you create a blog out of them and put them on your website, now you're indexed in Google. Are you seeing that? So with transcripts, with show notes, with blog embeds, with your podcast being found on YouTube, now it becomes a search engine magnet. People are Googling their problems. Your episode might just be the answer. All right. Number 4, it is going to fit beautifully into your funnel. Whether someone just found you or is sitting on the fence about your offer, a podcast can help them get to know, like, and trust you all on their timeline. If you are an online business, this is a long game and the long game wins. And a podcast can really be part of your strategy. I'm going to say if the Lord's been tugging on your heart, it should be part of your strategy. One of the things that I believe that podcasts can do is for people who are wondering about your offer, right? So I have the visibility blueprint workshop that I am launching here in 2026. We're going to be doing it quarterly. And I have all these podcasts over the last quarter that I've done on visibility. I've put them into a podcast playlist. And anybody who's interested or even thinking about the visibility blueprint workshop, I can send them every podcast that I've done on the subject of visibility for them to listen to. And what does that do? It allows them to hear my heart on it. It allows them to gain a little bit of trust that I know what I'm talking about. And hopefully it's going to lead to some yeses for my offer. Are you seeing how it works? Right? Podcasting. It's amazing. Now, I always want to be honest. I want, I know that there's excuses. All right. And here are some of the most common excuses that I hear, and I want to shut them down. All right. So, first one, I am not techie. Okay, sister, you don't have to be totally techie. There are plug and play tools that can make it simple. Get a stinking USB mic, download Zoom, and don't feel like you have to edit it. Okay. People are so forgiving these days. This is not 5, 6 years ago where everything had to be perfect. I think people are looking for imperfection because there's so much AI perfection out there that they're looking for imperfection. They want human. And so you don't have to worry about being an expert editor. Okay. But if you want a certain level of polish, there's always people like me out there that you can hire to help you. Okay. And let me tell you, YouTube University is your best friend. You can find almost anything, how to do anything on the YouTubes. And so I'm sure that your level of tech can support you podcasting. All right. Second, reason that you might not want to start a podcast and you might think you don't have time. All right. You don't have to drop weekly episodes to make an impact. I just told you about somebody in the top 0.5 of podcasts, all podcasts, like worldwide podcasts that only publishes once a month. So start weekly or even monthly. It's your show, your rules. Do what you want. Just be consistent. Pick a publishing frequency that you know that you can stick with and then stick with it. That's it. Don't feel like you have to do every week. Nobody's telling you that you do. So take the pressure off. You do have time. And if you do want to record more often than once a month, batch record. There's a whole episode on that. If you just search for Jan Touchberry and batch recording, you'll find it. Okay. Next, I don't know what to say. Yes, you do. What do the people ask you about all the time? What do you wish somebody had told you when you were just starting out? What do you rant about in your car? That friend is your content. Don't overthink it. All right, next. The market's too crowded. Nope. Scarcity mindset talking. It is not too crowded. It is curated. We talked about micro niche, okay? Your voice will attract your people, period, end of story. So let's not let fear wearing a fancy outfit pretend that it's wisdom, because it's not. If God called you to this, walk in it. Walk in it. All right? So I want to make it a little bit real. We're going to give you an action plan. Step 1, clarify your mission. Who are you talking to? What's the breakthrough you're leading them to? Write it down, print it, tape it to your microphone if you have to. AI is your friend, y'all. AI can be your friend here. It can help you with outlines for your podcasts. So use it. All right. Step 2, choose your gear. Start simple. I have a friend who for years recorded into the microphone on her iPhone. She crawled in her closet or her car, or sometimes she would just record as she was out taking a walk. And who cares? People listen. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. All right. If you want something more than the microphone on your iPhone, if you want a little bit fancier, get a Blue Yeti mic off of Amazon. All right. I personally have upgraded twice, and I'm currently using the Samsung Q2U mic. I really like it. It has a very warm tone, and it's not super expensive. All right. If you have questions about gear, ping me. Let me know. I'm happy to have the conversation with you. All right. Step 3, plan your first 5 episodes. All right. First one should always be your story. Then you could, who's the show for? What's your core message? A personal struggle and breakthrough, a client winner God story. Boom, done. 5 episodes. They don't have to be long. In fact, most podcasts should be you should be able to listen to most podcasts. Gosh, I can't talk today. It's been 100 episodes. There's grace. You should be able to listen to most podcasts in the time that it would take you to commute from point A to point B, usually work. So I try to keep my episodes around 20 minutes. And number 4, give it a name. Make it clear, not clever, you guys. Clear and not clever. Bonus points if it reflects your niche and your personality. There is a whole deal on naming your podcast. I think I'm going to have to do a little mini workshop on podcasts for you guys if you want to start a podcast. If you're interested in that, will you let me know? Will you message me on Instagram or shoot me an email and let me know? But give it a clear name, not a clever name. People need to be able to search for it. You'll notice that while I kept the Her Faith at Work name, when you look at my actual title inside the podcast platforms, it's Business Growth Tips for Christian Women / Her Faith at Work. Because they're not searching for Her Faith at Work. Nobody knows that. They're searching for business growth tips. Okay. And then last but not least, hit record. Literally do it scared, do it messy, just do it and worry about getting better as you go. Friend, if I could reach through the mic and hand you a cup of courage, I would. 2026, don't let it be another year of wishing that you had started. Let it be a year of actually starting. You do not need perfect conditions. You just have to be obedient to what the Lord's calling you to. And if you're ready to start a podcast but need a little bit of a guide, I've got you. I've got you. You can head over to grab my free Podcast with Purpose Starter Guide. It's got just some tips. It's got a list of my favorite tools that I use. It's just going to walk you through a little step by step. It's not all inclusive by any means, but it might give you in print what you need to breathe a sigh of relief and just hit the record button. Okay. So friend, if this podcast has encouraged you over these past 100 episodes, would you take 30 seconds and leave me a review on Apple Podcasts? It's super easy. You hop over to iTunes, you find Her Faith at Work, you scroll all the way down, and you hit the button, leave a review. Okay, it really does. It would mean the world to me, and it helps more women hear the truth that they need to grow their own businesses, to grow their faith. And here's to the next 100 episodes. May we keep showing up, y'all. May we keep speaking the truth, and may we do it all for the glory of God. See you next time, sister. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Her Faith at Work. If the Lord put someone on your heart that you think needs to hear this message today, will you just smash that share button? And if you haven't already followed the show, I would love for you to do that. Super extra points if you hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. That helps the algorithm pick us up and drop us right in the AirPods of people that need to hear what the Lord is saying to them today. I hope you'll come back for the next episode of Her Faith at Work. The podcast comes out every Wednesday. And if you look down in the show notes, I've even got a couple of free downloads for you that I think you will really enjoy. With that, have a great week. See you next time.